Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Network 216 production of the Faithful Dogs podcast. I am Tyler Johnson, joined as always, of course, by Mr. Zach DeFranco and Jack Robinson. Gentlemen, happy new league year for everyone that's celebrating. How are you guys doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. It's nice out here. It's nice out. Oh. We're eating some W's today too, so
W.
that's always
Taste it.
good. Oh my gosh, it's such a
goodness,
fun.
dude.
I can't believe that. uh,
Man, there is plenty to talk about, of course, tonight. Before we get to any of it, just as a reminder, everyone, just take a quick second, drop a like onto the video, subscribe if you are brand new to Network 216. We are on the push for 3,000 subscribers, less than 500 to go, and we can't get there without your help. So, again, subscribe if you're brand new to the channel, but also drop a like on the video. The likes really help because, again, it helps push the content out to those that are not yet familiar with Network 216. So please drop a like on that video and subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Gentlemen, before the new league year started, Andrew Berry, even before the tampering period started, already made a move. He traded for Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, which is hilarious because the Browns have been linked to Jerry Jeudy for about 2 years, and they finally made the deal, trading a 5th and 6th round pick in order to get him. First off, guys, what are your thoughts on this trade? Again, it's kind of funny because it seems like we saw it with Elijah Moore. If Andrew Berry wants somebody, eventually he's gonna get them one way or another.
Yeah, and I also love the compensation too. I mean, you gave him a 5th and a 6th round, pick. I mean, for a wide receiver that, I mean, he hasn't been amazing. Some people in Denver, I've been listening to a lot of local radio, and people in Denver are going to call him a bust. I mean, if he can put up 800 yards in our offense with Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore, I mean, Jack, I don't know how you feel, but I'd be happy about that as him being a wide receiver 2, 3 with Elijah. But I don't know. Andrew Berry loves, Tyler says it all the time, former 1st round picks. And this dude he was number 15 pick in the draft. He looked up to Amari Cooper, and now he gets to play alongside him. This could very well be the fresh start and, reset button that he needs in his career to really reach his full potential.
yeah, I remember even just this season we were talking about trying to get Jerry Jeudy on the team. Obviously, took until a couple months later, but I think it's just like the perfect move that we wanted. It's a low risk, high reward, transaction. I feel like that's kind of one of the things that Andrew Berry has always been really good at, is taking guys who need a change of scenery and giving them a chance to do so, and doing so for a price that makes sense for both teams. I mean, getting a 5th and a 6th for a guy who is coming into his last year of his rookie year or of his rookie contract. He's cheap in comparison to what you would expect other wide receivers who are going into their second contract likely to have. I mean, he's only making about 13 million, and it's one of those things where, again, it's like, he's probably going to be the 2 or the 3 this year. We don't know exactly where he's going to fit in there with Elijah. Like, is Elijah going to be the wide receiver 3, or is Jerry Jeudy going to be the wide receiver 3? We don't know, but I mean, it's just more depth at that position that you really need. And then, if it works out, that's great. I mean, you get to, you can probably get a jump start on retaining him for future seasons. It gives you a lot of flexibility at that position. And then if not, I mean, it's only a 1-year deal left on his contract. So then you have flexibility going into the offseason to find more guys with a little bit more cap space. So, like, there's so many different things about this deal that is just so smart. For, like, we all know that Andrew Berry really liked this guy. He fits in the team, he fits into the scheme, and you get flexibility in terms of that. You can either keep him if he performs, or, you're not really tied to him financially if not.
I think the big thing here, man, is that not only with Jerry Jeudy are you getting a former 1st rounder, he's 24 years old. He's better than anybody you're going to get. I mean, where the Browns are picking in the draft anyway. On top of that, you have 3 wide receivers in Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Jerry Jeudy that can play any of the wide receiver spots, slot, outside. Jerry Jeudy actually did a lot of his work in the slot. That Elijah Moore likes to be more outside. There's just so much flexibility you now have on offense. And what you have is a younger version of an Amari Cooper type player in Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's never in Denver. It just never has worked out. I mean, look at the quarterbacks he's been playing with. I mean, and even Russell Wilson hasn't been great since he's been there. So give Jerry Jeudy consistency, and I think he's going to end up paying off. And you mentioned it, Jack. You have the opportunity to extend him. It's a good chance you're going to end up extending Jerry Jeudy. I mean, that's the reason you make a trade like this. I mean, I think the most likely to be extended at this point is Jerry Jeudy. And even if they extend him before the season, it wouldn't even surprise me, just because that's why you brought this guy in. You brought him in to, if he is as talented as his draft position suggests, you might have your future guy to lead this wide receiver moving forward. And that's something that people need to pay attention to, because if Jerry Jeudy has the year we think that like he should have, I'm not here to speculate what they do with Amari Cooper, but then that makes that transition easier if it does come down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just think personally, I mean, I don't think you extend him before this season. I think you need to. I mean, he's on a contract year. You got someone now that, I mean, he even said it today. I believe it was today, that he's at a team now that wants him, and Cleveland has proved, Andrew Berry has proved that they wanted him for a few years now. I think that's just a different level of motivation. Like I said, the reset that he gets now to be here and to play with Amari, to play with Elijah, to play with Deshaun when he comes back healthy, and I just think it's something that he really needed to really kind of get out of that reputation he has of just being, you know, a diva, like he in Denver. You know, a lot of the Denver media do not like the guy, and I mean, rightfully so. I mean, he really was. He was a loudmouth. But I think here, with the culture we've built with Stefanski and how tight this locker room is, I mean, you even see it with the defense running it back this year, man. We'll get into that. I mean, it's a culture here that I think he can come in and instantly be a game changer on this offense, and someone that, I mean, you got to account for him. Now it's not just Amari Cooper. It's not just Elijah Moore running great routes and David Njoku. You have to account for Jerry Jeudy. He's a deep threat, and he's gonna take up a lot of defenders. So I like the move. I do. I like the swing for a 5th and the 6th round pick. I hope it works out. I really do.
I think you look at you bring up the defense. I mean, there's no need to dive into every single one of them. We'll just cover it all at once. So the Browns obviously re-signed Za'Darius Smith. The Browns brought back Maurice Hurst. The Browns brought back Shelby Harris. So regarding as far as the defensive line, you're bringing back pretty much everyone. And on a defense that looks like you are going to be bringing back the majority of the guys that were on the team last year. Here's the question I ask you guys. Listen, these guys are all solid players. Like, I have no problem with bringing them back. But the question remains, do you need to bring in some different guys given what we saw at the back end of last year with this defense kind of getting a little too like on their high horse that they're the best in the world? And do you think they need to bring in some other voices on that defensive side of the ball? Because listen, I love the fact you brought back Za'Darius, but I don't know. I personally might have looked at some different D tackles. I mean, because there's a ton on the market, and there still is. I think they're going to bring in somebody else, but we'll see. Where do you guys come out on that compared to running it back to bringing in some new voices?
I think defensive line wise, I like the idea of running it back. Aside from, like you said, Tyler, add some more, you know, beef up front, defensive tackles. Obviously, dude, like I get it. You want to make that big splash, but you're not gonna. I didn't think Andrew Berry was gonna pay a defensive tackle over $20-something million a year now alongside Myles Garrett. With Za'Darius, I just like that move to keep him. I just think that people are very like, because he didn't put up the flashiest numbers, but he was very great and liked his role next to Myles. But you let Anthony Walker go, Taki leaves, so now that new green dot on your defense is probably going to be Hicks, right? So that's your new vet right there. I still think you make a move for another linebacker, whether it's free agency or you try to take a shot at one in the draft. I would love to see Jerome Baker. I mean, he's still out there. I say bring the kid home. But yeah, on top of that, I think defensive tackle is where you need to go. And I don't know. I just still sense that there's a big move that's going to happen with Andrew Berry. He moves very quietly. and then all of a sudden he just makes this splash. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I think the defensive tackle is mostly the position that you need to improve. I think that like the guys on the edge are pretty good, and obviously you have Alex Wright, who he's going into his third year, and then he had a big jump last year, and I think he's going to keep getting better, and they're going to keep bringing him into the rotation more and more. And I think it's really like the one position that obviously you have Tomlinson, and he's great. But you didn't really get, I don't think, as good as production as you would have wanted out of all the guys on the defensive tackle position. And I think bringing in maybe a couple more guys just to try to get more production, because I think we saw the pressure off the edge, all the time, but we didn't see that same consistency up the middle. And I think that that's the one thing that really the defense just needs to improve for the most part, is just getting more consistent pass rush up the middle, because we know Miles is going to get his, and we know that, Za'Darius is going to get his. So we just need more consistent guys in the middle. So I think if they're going to target one particular position on the line, it's going to be somebody up the middle.
They need defensive. Here's the thing. I like Maurice Hurst. I do. I'm so glad they brought him back, because I think he deserves to come back. Same with Shelby Harris, but none of those guys you really want to start. And at this point, I mean, let's be honest. I don't know if they're comfortable going in with Siaki Ika getting a major role next year. I mean, right now you have guys available. Go get an Eric Armstead. Go get a DJ Reader. You can get those guys for under $20 million a year. You can. You could probably get them on probably a 1-year deal and bring the incentives high, kind of like you did with some of the other contracts we have. Go do it. Go do that. That's what I would do. I mean, right now, Rankins, it looks like Sheldon Rankins is going to the Bengals. I would have loved that move, because I think that would have been somewhat of a cheaper option. And you have his former defensive line coach here. DJ Reader, everyone wants Reader, but apparently his medicals are not good right now, coming off a serious injury. So we'll see what happens there. Tyler Tart, I mean, that would make some sense. We haven't heard anything on him, which has been odd. But I mean, there are guys available. Go get somebody. You want to really solidify the defensive line, go get one of these defensive tackles. I'm seeing people mention Khalil Mack in the chat. Khalil Mack's staying with the Chargers. He agreed to a huge restructure, apparently, so he's not going anywhere. People, and that wasn't out of the realm of possibility if he gets released. So, but it's not happening.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's where I'm at. Don't get me wrong. I think bringing back Harris and Hurst and Smith, that's smart. But right now, I think you're still missing that one guy next to Dalvin Tomlinson that you need. That one guy.
Yeah, you're missing the bona fide starter. You're missing the guy that for a fact is going to be the guy next to Tomlinson at the beginning of the season. I think you have a lot of guys who are great, additional pieces, like you were saying, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst. These guys are great role players. They great in the rotation. They come in and they can perform. But you need a guy who can be on a similar level as Dalvin Tomlinson and giving you similar production, because, Dalvin Tomlinson's great when he's getting double teamed. He can't really do much. So in plays when, Miles isn't out there, or when Za'Darius isn't out there, and they can focus more on your guys who are supposed to make plays, you need to have guys out there that can, still have productive reps on a 1v1 and can win. And, as good as a lot of these guys are, Maurice Hurst and Shelby Harris, sometimes they aren't capable of winning their reps. You need guys who are capable of winning one-on-ones and forcing, teams to not just focus on Miles and Dalvin Tomlinson and Za'Darius Smith every single play. Because if they do that, and those guys still can't perform, then there's a problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. I mean, I wouldn't even rule out exploring the trade market for a defensive tackle. I mean, if the Colts go out and get Ladarius Sneed, which they might, because they do have a need at corner, DeForest Buckner's on a 1-year contract. Just saying. And you could get, I think you could get him for cheaper than what people think. It would make so much sense. It really would. I mean, go get a guy like that. I think maybe there are some other places you could call around, see if any of these teams want to trade their defensive tackles, especially a rebuilding team over in Washington. I mean, they got defensive.
Sweat.
Yeah, well, they don't have Sweat anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Are you talking Josh Sweat or the other Sweat?
Josh, right? Isn't he?
Yeah. Josh is with the Eagles. Montavious Sweat is with the Bears. he got traded to the Bears. But, dude, I mean, I call about Jonathan Allen. I call about DeForest Buckner. I mean, there are teams I would at least call. Can't hurt. I mean, because then everyone's like, well, because I have seen it, well, you're not going to have many draft picks. Greg Newsom's probably not. I said it last week, and it's picking up. I mean, Greg Newsom's probably not going to be here. He's not. You can probably get a late second, early third for him, and then that replenishes whatever pick you trade. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. That's at least what I would do personally. But
yeah.
We'll see what Andrew Berry has up his sleeve, because I do agree with Zach. Something's going to happen. I don't know when, and it might be a boring time for people these next couple weeks, but leading up to the draft, man, you never know. You really never know.
Can you do it when we're not trying to sleep? You know, because some of us got to work in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Week. At least he did. Hey, I'll give him this. At least he didn't do what he did last year and sign the best free agent we were going to have at 11:30 at night. He didn't do that this year. Well,
yeah,
knock on wood. But yeah, now moving on to the big move everyone wants to discuss. So the Browns have are going to add, because it's not official, just because post-June first cut, there's some things that have to be done with that. The Browns are going to add quarterback Jameis Winston. He is going to be the backup quarterback. He is leaving the Saints. The Browns decided not to bring back Joe Flacco, who has since signed with the Colts. The Browns did not offer him a contract. So I wouldn't say gotten into it with people. I responded to some people. Fans are not happy that the Browns basically stiffed Joe Flacco. Where are you guys with all of this? Personally, this is what I've said all along. You're getting a guy that is very similar in the way he plays. He's a gunslinger. He's going to take chances. He's going to throw a lot of picks. He's going to throw touchdowns, but he's got a cannon of an arm. Mm-hmm. But he's a little bit more mobile. He's 9 years younger. But others say Joe Flacco, with what he did, should be brought back. Where are you guys at with this?
I love what Joe Flacco did. I mean, coming here, embracing the city, and leading us to a playoff spot, you know, keeping the season alive. It was such a fun ride. But are you really going to find gold twice? You know, I mean, is that going to happen again? If something happened to Watson, knock on wood, it doesn't. And, you know, we can finally start, you know, seeing this plan come to fruition with the Browns and what they had envisioned with Watson. I think, and I don't think that a lot of people are trying to assume that the Browns are worried that, you know, if something went wrong with Watson in one of the first two games, that they would be screaming Flacco. I don't think the Browns care about that at all. Not one bit. I like the move for Jameis Winston. I mean, I think it would be I think it's a good fit for what they want to do now in the offense with Ken Dorsey and push the ball downfield. Don't get me wrong, Joe Flacco can. But I also believe that Flacco saying, yeah, you know, ultimately I would love to stay in Cleveland, and the Browns saying, yeah, we would love to keep Joe Flacco. I think they were just kind of helping each other out there in terms of getting Flacco one more deal with another team. I don't think they ever had any sort of agreement to bring him back as the backup this year. I think Flacco wants a chance to be somewhere where he could potentially start again, and the Browns don't see that for him this year with everything coming back with Watson. So I just didn't think it made sense to bring him back this year.
See, I wanted him back this year just because of, you know, he knows the system. Obviously, it's
a new system, though. It's going to be a new system.
It's a newer system, but it's like, you know, he was able to figure out the system in 2 weeks. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, you get the whole offseason, you know, he'd be a solid backup. And you know, obviously he already has good chemistry with a lot of the guys and all that stuff. And, you know, I don't want to completely rule out, you know, kind of what you were talking about, Zach, where it's like, do they care that much about the idea that there could be a quarterback controversy? I don't really know. I don't really know if there would be a quarterback controversy, even if people were complaining, because it just doesn't make any sense for them to ever consider we should put in Joe Flacco if Deshaun has a couple of struggle games or whatever. But I do think I think it's more so what Tyler was saying, where it's just, you know, we don't need to, you know, bring in a guy like Joe Flacco, even though we can, you know, say that he would be a great backup. We'd rather have a guy who's younger. We'd rather have a guy who fits the scheme, who has a similar skill set to Deshaun. And so, I'm not a huge fan of Jameis, honestly. I don't really like him as a player. And And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm fine with it because he's a backup, and I hope I never have to see him play other than taking like snaps at the end of the game. So I'm fine with it. I'm not a big fan of Jameis Winston, but I have no real qualms with it at all. And and I'm just happy that Joe got another chance with another team. So
Jameis is like universally loved around every locker room he's been in, though. Dude.
I'm sure really the players like him. I'm just saying that personally, I don't like his play style. I don't like how reckless he is, and I'm just not a fan of him as a player, not as a person, just as a player.
Here's the thing, though: who are you getting on that type of contract out there at the backup quarterback market besides the guy that you just had? Because everyone wants to talk about, well, like Flacco put up these numbers. I mean, he did. And Jameis Winston has had a lot of turnovers throughout his career. Joe Flacco is on pace for 30 interceptions. Like, let's not act like that this is that we're downgrading here. We're really not. If anything, it's a little bit of an upgrade because you're getting a guy who's younger. And, personally, he has won games. It's not like he sucks. I mean, he still wouldn't be in the NFL if he did. They wanted Jacoby Brissett, but Jacoby Brissett wasn't taking the money, wasn't taking that type of deal because it just doesn't make sense. And he gets to go back to where it all began, New England. So that made a lot of sense for Jacoby Brissett. Mariota, same thing. Took a bigger deal in Washington. You weren't getting a guy, there's no one else on the market. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, you weren't getting him. He took a pretty good deal from the Jets. So, the market for backup quarterbacks was a lot higher than it's been. And to get a guy like Jameis Winston, to me, I think that's a win, if anything. This is a guy that's proven he could win NFL games. And everyone says, well, he throws a lot of picks. I mean, he does. But the last time when he was a consecutive starter for the Saints, I believe he had 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions before he got injured. So, I mean, I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback. And also, why don't we do this? Why do we worry about who the backup quarterback is and not just trust the head coach, who so far has gotten the best out of every quarterback he's ever coached, except right now, a guy who's been injured in Deshaun Watson, because he's gotten the best out of everybody. He's gotten the best out of Joe Flacco. He's gotten the best, it wasn't much, but he did get some solid performances out of DTR. He got PJ Walker to win some games. He has done all this. And so you might not like Jameis Winston, but I like the fact that Kevin Stefanski knows how to coach a quarterback, and I like bringing in Ken Dorsey. So that's why I'm all for Jameis Winston. It's hard for me to hate this move. It really is. Is it my top choice? Probably not, but I'm not going to sit here
not a lot of other choices
complain that
make.
Joe Flacco's not here.
There's not a lot of other choices to make. It's not like you were saying. It's not like there's a lot of other options that give you the experience that he has and the locker room presence that he has for the cost. I agree monetarily and in terms of just all of the, X's and O's, it's a good move for a backup quarterback. Again, it's nothing personal or anything. It's literally just a personal preference. I wish there were better options available than Jameis Winston, but that's just it for me. But
no, I get that. But this is the question that fans should answer. Would you rather have Jameis Winston or would you rather have DTR as your backup next year?
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a no-brainer.
That's the real question. And that's
kind of a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, it is a no-brainer. That's what I'm saying, is that's the real question that people should be asking. It's like you don't want to be complaining about backups because the options are you either have you try to hold out for a really good backup and don't get it, and then you have to rely on DTR. You'd rather have DTR now?
Come on, man. Listen,
I've seen a lot of people saying this, man.
Dude, at least Jameis has experience at.
Dude,
no, Jacoby wasn't coming back to be a backup.
Jacoby wasn't coming back, and giving $8 million to Jacoby is stupid. It's just a dumb decision. I'm sorry. It is. I like Jacoby.
He's going to be able to start.
Guys, it's not the same system. We need
to
get that in the head.
You guys need to understand too. Jameis, his deal isn't $8 million. It's like 4.7 and with incentives. 4.3, 4.5, and then the incentives go up to $8 million. But that's if he plays a certain amount of game, if he starts a certain amount of games, and there's a lot that goes in to get those full incentives for sure. And also, guys, we got to understand something. This is not, everyone in the chat, this is not going to be the same system. Look at who the Browns just hired today. A guy that you've never heard of, that his specialty is motion offense.
That's what he does. He's leaving college football. He's a former head coach, and he's leaving to come to the NFL. He is the second coach to do that. Tommy Rees was the other one, an offensive coordinator at Alabama coming here into the NFL. You know why? Because they're changing the offense. Everybody on that offensive staff is gone. It's new. Things are changing.
Everyone
come here
wants
and
to
it would
point
not
that,
be the same offense.
and everyone wants to point that to, oh, they're worried about Deshaun's confidence. No, they're trying to build an offense around their quarterback that fits his strengths. And I'm sorry, but the last system just wasn't really going to do it. It wasn't. This is going to be an offense that I think is tailored more for what we have built right now to win. So yeah, Tyler, like you said, man, I mean, everyone was talking about the motion offense and what you need to see with Watson and with a new style of running game and stuff like that. It needed to happen. So, I mean, firing the staff after 11-win season, yeah, it's odd, but it needed to happen. I think if they would have won 13 games, it would have happened.
Keith, I understand not wanting to have a roster spot for a third quarterback, but given that Deshaun Watson's coming off a severe shoulder injury, you have to do that. You have to be prepared for if something happens, you need to be prepared for it. That's why they will carry 3 quarterbacks this year, because normally the Browns don't even do that. And they really haven't under Kevin Stefanski. The only time they have is during the COVID year, of course, because during that time you
were allowed to.
You needed dudes to come off the street to play for you. And then last year you needed Joe Flacco to come off the couch to play for you. So like, I get it. Listen, I wish we didn't have to have a third roster spot for a quarterback, but that's just where we're at. But guys, I do want to get to one more player before we wrap up, because I love this addition. Some people really don't, and I don't understand how you can hate this. The Browns have signed running back kick returner Nyheim Hines to a 1-year contract. It's up to $3.5 million. We don't know how much he's guaranteed or if it's even guaranteed. Coming off an injury, of course, kind of a freak accident. But, I mean, listen, you're getting one of the best receiving backs in the NFL since he has come into the league. If you want to think about what James White was to the Patriots, that's what Nyheim Hines basically was for the Colts. You're getting a guy that's going to add another dimension to the offense. He's your true third down back. He's going to be able to return kicks for you. What are your guys' thoughts on this move? To me, it's a home run. It doesn't cost much. I know some fans are pissed because they wanted a running back that was going to take the reps from Jerome Ford. Clearly, the Browns, they did explore Zach Moss. They didn't want to go to a 2-year deal. Ultimately, chooses the Bengals. But what are your guys' thoughts on the Nyheim Hines signing?
Where did you hear that they didn't want to do a 2-year deal?
I've seen like things on social media about it, which would make sense because they didn't want to go. Because if they went to 2 years, they didn't want to do that with Moss because he hasn't proven he can stay healthy. So they didn't want to give 2 years. Cincinnati did because they wanted him to tandem with Chase Brown to replace Joe Mixon.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Heim signing. I mean, the only thing is, I mean, I just wanted that running back to really kind of take the workload until Chubb is ready to come back, and then be a 1-2 punch with Chubb. I mean, do we potentially still look at one in the draft? And I also like how Hines has obviously special team experience with Bubba Ventrone as well. So I do like that familiarity that we're bringing. So yeah. But I mean, do we still explore a running back in the draft? Do you guys think that? I mean, it's a deep running back class this year.
I think that they'll see how it falls. I don't know how much of a priority it is for them, but I would assume that they're looking, and if someone that they think is worth their more than the value of the pick, then I think that they'll take a flyer on it. It's not out of the realm of possibility for Andrew Berry to do something like that. But I mean, I think
they might take a flyer. It's just, and there are some guys. It's just this. The reason we're seeing the running back market the way it is because there are a lot of teams that just are not fans of this running back class, because there's not that true like echelon of guys. I mean, there are some guys you can get later, but I don't even know when the first running back's going to go. Maybe middle of the second round. I mean, that's the thing with the talent in this draft at running back. And then you look at next year's class is going to be coming out: Trayvon Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Donovan Edwards. I mean, the running backs from Penn State. Like, there's going to be a lot of guys. wow, I just mentioned everyone from the Big Ten. But the point is, the Big Ten's loaded at running back next year. Trevor Etienne is going to be coming out. Like, there's a lot of talent that's in next year's class. That's why you see the running back market the way it is, because next year's class is going to be even better. You're starting to see some trends here. That's why teams are going all in on these running backs now, because the draft this year is not very running back heavy. Like, there's some depth, but it's not those names. It's not the talent that next year's class has.
Yeah, and kind of I didn't really speak to the question, but no, I think Nyheim Hines is a great. I think Nyheim Hines is a great addition. I think in addition to the fact that he's a great receiving back, I think with the do we know anything about Grant's status or whether or not he's even going to be playing for us, if they're going to retain him at all? We don't know, but I mean, I think just having a guy who can return punts and kicks consistently, and he's done it for a long time, and he's done it with Bubba Ventrone, I think that's a big plus. And also, like, kind of just you have a guy who's familiar with a lot of the guys on this staff, and he just performs, and he's a veteran that you can rely on. Obviously, I think a lot of people just wanted some sort of security that it's not just going to be Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong again running all the reps, because I think that obviously last year we saw a big dip in productivity from the running back room once Nick went down. And it's just like, unless we know, I think it's mostly just people are just afraid of what we don't know, because we just don't know when Nick is going to be coming back, when he's going to be 100%, if he's going to be 100% this season. So it's just one of those things where people, unless they have sort of like a safety blanket of Nick Chubb's going to be back after X amount of games, I think they wanted the Browns to be more aggressive going after guys like, maybe an Aaron Jones when he became available, and he signs for like a pretty decent deal for the Vikings. And I mean,
he was going to Minnesota no matter what.
Yeah, I mean,
he was not happy with the way
Green
Bay stiffed him completely.
Yeah. And I mean, there was just a lot of different guys who came available, and you would have hoped that the Browns would have maybe taken a more aggressive approach at getting those guys. But I still think that until we know the status of Nick Chubb, it's kind of hard to figure out to really analyze these moves, because we just don't know what it's like on the inside in terms of like his progression and what they're expecting and how fast he's getting back to full strength. So I mean, if we knew that, then we would be able to give a better idea of like whether or not these moves were good or not. But I think that that's the main concern that a lot of people have.
I think the big thing, because I mean, listen, I'm not going to say they're not going to sign another one. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still available, and yeah, he's not great by any means, but still a former first-round pick. Andrew Berry could take a flyer there. Deontay Foreman, I mean, he is still available. A.J. Dillon is still available. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Is it unlikely? It might be, but I mean, we'll see what happens. We're day 3. We got a while to go here before the roster is made up. But as we're wrapping things up, guys, anything else you want to add on this beginning to the new league year?
I mean, I was hoping to break some news, dude.
Yeah.
I know, man.
Well, hey,
it's been they haven't done anything today besides sign Bajorquez and add a new coach.
That's what I'm saying.
Andrew Berry must be on the West Coast right now, dude. West Coast time.
Well,
he did that thing with Judy and then went right back to Cali,
Guys, we have to celebrate Bajorquez, guys. Like, we have to celebrate our punter's success. Dude. It's so exciting.
It is exciting. Dude. I'm thrilled.
Yeah. You sound amazed.
I am amazazed. He's great.
No, Tyler.
Oh.
No, I mean, dude, it's great. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna do Sheldon. I'm not gonna do backflips over it, but I mean, it's you brought him back. I'm good with it.
Sheldon Rankins was a 2-year, $26 million deal.
Such an overpay. That's such an overpay.
I think. Do you guys think the Bengals are kind of desperate right now? A little bit.
They're always kind of desperate, dude.
I think the situation came down with the Bengals is clearly they're going to know DJ Reader's medicals better than anybody. So if the Bengals aren't bringing back Reader, what does that tell you? Like, they go get a guy in Sheldon Rankins who, like I said, I would have loved. Last year I picked him as a Browns free agency target. Didn't happen. I would have loved to have Sheldon Rankins. Paying him $13 million, nah. I mean, if they want to do that, that's fine. they'll pair him with BJ Hill. That might end up being a pretty decent duo, but I think it says more about the condition of DJ Reader, personally. I think Reader's, I don't know. He might be available for a while. We'll see. But Jack, tell us about Homage. I don't have a good segue.
You're not even
for
trying
it.
to segue into it.
Well, dude, I'll admit I don't have a good segue this time. Just being honest.
Well, you don't need a good segue because Homage is, good enough by itself. It doesn't need any sort of anything clever, but I'll try my best anyways. So obviously, as everyone knows, Homage is the most comfortable brand in the land. And guys, it's starting to get warm out, which means you need to start transitioning your wardrobe over to short sleeves, to, not the heavy stuff. So you need to make sure that you have your apparel ready for all the weather conditions. And the best way to rep your favorite teams, your pop culture icons, or just your city and a plethora of their different designs, whether it's, t-shirts, long sleeves, pullovers, or if you're still wearing hoodies in the hot weather because you're weird or you're me, as well as if you need sweatpants or shorts, go to Homage. They have breathable, comfortable clothing. It's the place to go for all your apparel needs. You can click the link in the description of the YouTube video or on our Twitter and head over to Homage. Check out their whole selection. It's all great stuff that feels great. It's all super comfortable. We're all wearing it all the time. Again, when it gets warm out, it's great to have an Homage thing because it's nice and breathable. And if it gets cold out, it's great to have an Homage hoodie because they're super warm, super thick, super high quality stuff. So again, head over there, check out the stuff there. It helps support us here at the Faithful Dogs podcast and everyone at Network 2 and 6.
See, dude, you don't even need a segue. You just ultimately
Homage speaks for itself, man. Homage speaks for itself.
It really does. There's really nothing to even say. But like I've been teasing, drop a like onto the video. I really would appreciate that. But anyway, we appreciate everyone that tuned in this episode of the Faithful Dogs podcast. There will be plenty more to come in the coming, hopefully, days, but if not, weeks and months. So everyone, as much as it's difficult, stay patient and don't, and honestly, ignore some of these fake accounts. The Browns did not sign Jerome Baker. Don't fall for that. Come on, guys.
I am happy that there's less and less this year, though. There's usually so many, dude.
That is true. I will admit, though, last year I blocked like 10 of them, so maybe that's why I'm not seeing as much. Because I block them right away if I see it. If I know if someone's doing it, I block them. I don't need that. I don't need that negativity in my life. But anyway, as I said, guys, drop a like onto that video. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. I'm going to get the exact number of subscribers that we are away from 3,000, if I can do this math correctly. Okay. We'll say like 467 away from 3,000 subscribers. So again, subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. It's completely free to subscribe. All the Browns content you want, but also Ohio State football, Cleveland Cavaliers, Cleveland Guardians. Yeah, that's about it. All right. Well, we will talk to you guys all again soon. Remember to tune in to Illegal Ham tomorrow at 7:00 here on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Talk to you guys all again soon. Go Browns, baby.
Like, comment, sub. Steelers country, let's cry.